It was Easter morning in 2008 when Madeleine Cara Newman tragically passed away at the age of 11. Her parents chose to pray for her health over seeking medical attention. Not because of ill intentions, but sadly because of misinformed beliefs. Reality is that the best of intentions can lead us to terrible results if those beliefs are based on faith or emotion and not on facts. So in today's video we are going to discuss why truth matters. First we will be talking about it in religion, an area most atheists will agree on, but then we will turn our attention to similar concepts in woke culture. Before we do, if you like content like this, hit the like and subscribe button and let's get started on our journey into why truth matters and how beliefs inform actions. At the start of our video, we discussed Cara Newman, who passed away from a treatable form of diabetes, but she is not alone. As a matter of fact, in Canyon County, Idaho, there is a cemetery full of dead children from faith healing. The harm here comes from people with sincere beliefs doing what they believe is right based on faith and feeling, rather than evidence. Prayer, I would also contend, at least leads to a certain portion of the population simply praying for a cause, instead of actively contributing, therefore keeping a good cause from getting all the support it would have gotten otherwise. Yet, prayer is just one example of religious beliefs leading to tragic results. There are many others. For instance, there are sects of Christians who believe they can handle venomous snakes. They may honestly believe this, and this idea is reinforced by the fact that many of them have been bitten with no effect. They attribute this to faith, yet the reality is they are handling timber rattlesnakes, a type of snake that will often dry bite, which means bite but not inject venom. Simply accepting this fact, over feelings and faith, could have saved many of the lives lost in this practice. Okay, so I think we can all agree that even well-intentioned actions based on untrue or unfounded beliefs can cause great harm. If people choose a course of action they think will work and it doesn't because they had incorrect beliefs, the results can be disastrous. So, the question is, can we see this in woke culture? Let's take a closer examination of woke culture next. The first thing we will look at in woke culture is something I touched on in the last video, the George Floyd incident and police brutality. People went out into the streets and started protesting based on a false narrative. Once this happened, it led to what has been dubbed the Ferguson Effect, where violent crime increases in areas due to the distrust in the police. This effect can be caused by the community not calling the police or police refusal to patrol certain communities. At the end of the day, it's probably a mixture of both, but what we did see was an uptick in murder rates in the cities where this occurred, costing countless people their lives, many of whom are black men and women. These murder rates far surpassed any effect the protests could have had on racist cops, as my previous video showed that was not the problem to begin with. But also because many of these cities saw their murder rates rise by enough that a single city's excess murder victims were higher than the number of all black people killed by police in a year. This doesn't even take into account the amount of property damage done. All of this because we accepted lived experience over actual data. We also see similar problems in the trans community. Many children are being rushed into transitioning and taking puberty blockers at young ages. What the actual data suggests is at best questionable, since we have so little, but also at worst troubling because what we see in much of the data is that children who transition are not actually less likely to commit suicide, yet that is a common reason given for starting the process. There are growing numbers of people who regret transitioning, but it's too late. So once again we are just accepting lived experience and not even trying to get to the actual issues here. The trans community impacts don't stop there. When it comes to trans women, the reason we separate things like restrooms, prisons, and sports is biological advantages. Feelings do not overcome this. Not recognizing these facts causes great harm. You can get biological men overpowering biological women in prison and raping them. Some on the left will pretend that men are not stronger than women. Reality is we have so many examples in sports. A man ranking outside the top 200 in men's tennis beat both Williams sisters easily, while drinking and smoking cigarettes, a team of 15-year-old boys beat a top 5 women's soccer team. High school boys in the United States are routinely beating world records for women in different track and field sports. Sadly, this leads to a more dangerous world for women if we don't value this truth over feelings. This gets even worse in combat sports, where a transgender woman was allowed to fight in MMA and ended up breaking his opponent's orbital bone. You can try and dispute these facts, that is fine, but you must do that with evidence. That actually is the point of this video after all. We must be discussing facts, not feelings and lived experience. We don't live in a vacuum and our beliefs have impacts. These impacts can be quite harmful in many ways, and this video didn't even get into the harmful way it weaves itself into our political views. So in conclusion, we need to be forming our beliefs based on solid evidence and fact-based reason. That's it for now. Until next time, keep fighting the good fight.